So recently, I started reading the first 22 chapters of Gachiakuta, and I had a lot of fun reading the series to the point I considered reading more of it on stream. However, that same day I was very bored and my current manga burnout didn't stop my eagerness to read more of Gachiakuta. So, in one sitting, I read the remaining 84 chapters of the series like an absolute fiend. To say that I enjoyed reading Gachiakuta is definitely an understatement to say the least. I was pleasantly surprised to find aspects of Gachiakuta very reminiscent of stories like Fire Force, which I'll touch upon later on. But to put Gachiakuta in a nutshell, this series is absolutely insane. The world of Gachiakuta is very immersive, and the start of the story doesn't waste a singular moment in trying to get you accustomed to that world and its intricacies. In a world where society is divided by a wall separating what seems like the rich and the poor, we see the main character of the story, Rudo, looking for trash as he finds the value in them, giving him the nickname Trash Raider. He's taken in by Recto as his adoptive father, as Rudo's family situation was very rough. How rough? Well, he ended up being punished for killing someone by being thrown into what is called the pit. Something that needs to be stated here, the world of Gachiakuta as we know at this point is just a small sphere. So when you look out of it, you see pitch black emptiness. Being thrown in what seems like the void is absolutely horrifying. Of course, this was reserved for those who deserve to be punished for their crimes. But what about those who end up getting framed for something they did not do? As Rudo encounters a very suspicious person on his way home, he finds Recto on the ground as he loses his life from a sword being driven into his chest. Unfortunately for Rudo, the cops find him at the scene of the crime, and without hearing a single explanation from him, they find Rudo guilty. Now, he will suffer a similar fate to his dad despite being completely innocent. The rage he shows at humanity is indicative of how shitty the conditions he lived through were, but ultimately, that wasn't changing the fact he was going to get dumped into the pit as if it was filth. And so, he gets thrown inside the pitch black. But suddenly, we see the impactful double spread of Rudo falling in the sky between dark clouds, as we also see a large black figure in the distance. Shortly thereafter, he is on the ground, still alive, surrounded by all the trash discarded from above. That's the start of Gachiakuta, and just from the beginning alone, I couldn't help but find similarities with Fire Force as we see Rudo get framed for an incident he wasn't really at fault for, similarly with Shinra and the event with his mom and brother Sho in the house burning. The similarities and the vibes doesn't really stop there, as the world of Gachiakuta is filled with mystery throughout, as Naruto is thrown into what is called the Abyss, as trash beasts, monsters who come from the waste and given life by mere feelings and emotion, are all over the area. Of course, monsters of this magnitude have to be taken care of by someone, right? After Rudo fends for himself for a little while, we get introduced to Engine, who takes care of these beasts with an umbrella, as he says he's part of the cleaners. Something that I purposefully glossed over was that on the first page of Gachiakuta, we are told from the jump that an object filled with love is imbued with a soul, as it also asks us the question of what is trash that is thrown away imbued with. This first page does not only hint at the overall power system of the series, but also what potentially becomes Rudo's ability, which we will touch upon a bit later. Engine, shortly after saving Rudo, does an experiment that involves exposing Rudo to other people in the Abyss, look at people who fall from the sphere as commodities to torture and sell. As Rudo is in a very dangerous situation, the gloves he's given by Recto very early on in his life gets imbued with a soul after all this time of appreciating how much those very gloves eased the scars on his arm. People who are able to draw power from objects are called givers. After Rudo puts those absolute weirdos down, Engine takes care of Rudo and tells him that if he wants to find a way up, he has to talk to the boss of the cleaners. As the story of Gachiakuta progresses, we slowly but surely start getting to know more about the Abyss as Rudo integrates himself with the cleaners. The cast of characters we get introduced with who are part of the organization are very attention grabbing and full of personality. No character truly feels the same in any way. Biggest examples are Sanka, who shows up immediately after Rudo gets saved by Engine in a very funny manner, and then also Rio, who's extremely bubbly and optimistic in an observation field trip for Rudo that turns serious very quickly. This is the perfect segue into talking more in depth about the action and power system of Gachiakuta. Dear Mother of God, this has to be one of the greatest recent power systems I've seen. There's a saying that goes, one man's trash is another man's treasure, and this couldn't apply more to the series and more importantly Rudo. So for starters, the objects that get imbued with a soul are called Jinki or vital instruments. Now obviously it would be very ideal for conventional weapons like swords, guns, etc. to get imbued with a soul to be as efficient as possible. However, that would be very boring. So how about a huge pair of scissors? But let's not have Rio use it with her hands normally. No. Instead, have her use the scissors with her fucking legs. I swear to God, I couldn't fucking believe my eyeballs. Because of the basis of the power system being objects filled with love, be the weapons of the series, every single vital instrument feels fresh and unique. Not a single one feels dull or uninteresting. From the supporting cast or the antagonists of Gachiakuta, everyone's vital instruments make every fighter encounter absolutely engaging to read. Then we have Rudo himself, which ties beautifully with the beginning of the story. Him being a trash raider and him looking in the valley of things that get discarded. His gloves called 3R basically draws out the power of any discarded object imaginable. This is genuinely one of the most creative ways I've seen a main character's ability tie into their character trait as well as the world building of said story point blank. And the moment we see this finally come into fruition is absolutely breathtaking by the phenomenal art of the series. This is the part of the video where I have to give my flowers to two people. The first is of course author Kei Urana, who has done such an incredible job with making Gachiakuta come alive artistically. The second is Ando Hideyoshi, who's responsible for the graffiti designs throughout the series. When you have phenomenal character designs that always feel bold and interesting and mix that with creative graffiti designs, you have a manga that is so filled with personality it feels like a breath of fresh air compared to other manga that are also great artistically but may lack the boldness that could help them stand out on their own. And I generally feel that Gachiakuta stood out so much when it started serialized and because of how great the art style is. Many people even drew comparisons from Fire Force and Soul Eater made by Atsushi Okubo, since those series art styles are very unique and attention grabbing, which had me thinking, why does Gachiakuta remind me so much of those two series from an artistic standpoint? Then I came to find out that not only Urana was a massive fan of Soul Eater, not only was she an assistant of Fire Force, but also Okubo went as far as to call Urana his successor. Then it started to make a lot more sense. The art of Gachiakuta is phenomenal in every facet you can think of. The moment a climatic point of the series is happening, you can bet on the fact that the art isn't going to hold any punches at all. In fact, it proceeds to throw them instead. When you add all of these components together, you have a manga that feels vibrant and alive. I know this is going to sound extremely odd and weird, but dude, the art is so vibrant sometimes I forget I'm reading a manga that is just in black and white. And when you manage to achieve immersion that high, my respect for the artistic vision you express is just as high, if not even more. What makes me so unbelievably happy is knowing that the anime is more than likely to be in good hands, as Studio Bones, who was responsible for animating Soul Eater, are potentially about to cook a 5-star meal with Gachiakuta. Also knowing that Aruna was a huge fan of Soul Eater, now having her own work animated by the same studio responsible for animating the series that probably inspired her to do what she's doing today is extremely wholesome to say the least. I've refrained to talk about the specifics in regards to the story itself after the beginning because the main takeaway I want everyone to have after watching this video is to read Gachiakuta or watch the anime once it comes out in 2025. But if you want to know my thoughts on Gachiakuta after reading all 106 chapters at the time of recording this video, is that the series is extremely underrated, which I know that word gets thrown around a lot in the community, but good God, this generally applies here. As someone who enjoyed how Fire Force uses its world and the mystery surrounding it to move the narrative forward, Gachiakuta doing the same had me very invested in what was going on and ultimately was the reason why I binged the rest very quickly. Getting to know the mysteries of Rudo's gloves, Recto's killer at the very beginning, and the creator of the choker has you on your toes. The anticipation of knowing more about the world of Gachiakuta increases the more you sink your teeth into the story, and when you add the development of Ruro's character and how he grows from being this rabid teenager into a slightly more softer person as he bonds with the cleaners, you end up with a manga that is filled with endless potential. I absolutely enjoyed reading Gachiakuta, from reading the first 22 chapters on stream and the rest on my own. I definitely think that the series right now is not talked about enough, and I'm very happy to have given Gachiakuta a second chance, as it has moved me in ways I didn't really expect coming into it. But with the anime coming out sometime in 2025, I very much hope it helps the series get the attention it rightfully deserves. I want to know what you guys think of Gachiakuta so far in its potential anime in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate liking and subscribing for more videos coming from yours truly. And with that, hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the day wherever you are. See you guys next time.